Obi-Wan Kenobi once said to Luke Skywalker, "Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them." This can hold true when officiating swimming. It is not an easy task. There are many things to look for, and at times, something may seem to be one thing when it is actually another. In this video, we are going to discuss the rules that govern each individual stroke, the individual medley, and the rules for relays. The strokes we'll cover are butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, and freestyle. In addition to the rules for the actual swimming of these events, stroke mechanics, starts, turns, finishes, and relay exchanges will be covered. We will also talk about the best place on the pool deck to observe swims for the most fair and equitable officiating. As an official, keep in mind the golden rule of officiating. The swimmer always gets the benefit of the doubt. Now, let's get to our strokes. The first stroke we are going to cover is the butterfly. After the start, and at each turn, the swimmer's shoulders must be at or past vertical toward the breast. This swimmer is past vertical toward the back. This is illegal. After the start and each turn, the swimmer is allowed one or more leg kicks, but only one arm pull under the water. This pull must bring the swimmer to the surface. As mentioned, a swimmer may kick as many times as they like underwater, as long as the swimmer's head breaks the surface before or at the 15-meter mark. The 15-meter mark should be well marked on the lane lines so the official can clearly see if a swimmer is submerged longer than 15 meters. The official at the end of the pool should observe the swimmer from over the lane. If the swimmer kicks out on her side, the official must determine that the swimmer is not past vertical toward the back. To determine if the swimmer is past vertical toward the back or breast, the official must observe the relative position of the upper shoulder to the lower shoulder. Sometimes the distortion from the water's surface and the movement of the water can interfere with an observation. From the side of the pool, it is not always possible to observe the swimmers until they have broken the surface before or at the 15-meter mark. Both arms must be brought forward over the water and pulled back simultaneously. Both of these swimmers are complying with the rule. This swimmer is swimming the butterfly illegally because the arms are not moving simultaneously. In the butterfly, the arms must recover over the water. All up and down movements of the legs and feet must be simultaneous. One foot may be higher than the other. If the foot position changes, the official must observe an alternating action for a disqualification. This swimmer is legal. This is an example of observable alternating action and is a violation. A scissors or breaststroke kicking movement is not permitted. From the side of the pool, the best position to observe a butterfly race is slightly behind the slowest swimmer with a clear view of all the assigned lanes. When the swimmer comes to a turn or finish, the body will be on the breast. The touch shall be made at the turn or finish with both hands simultaneously at, above, or below the water's surface. The hands don't have to be on the same plane, but must touch simultaneously. That is, one hand can be above the water and one below, as long as the hands touch at the same time. Remember, you judge the touch by the hands. After the last pull into the wall, you are not concerned with the position of the shoulders, as long as the swimmer remains at or past vertical toward the breast. Once the two-hand touch has been made, the swimmer may turn in any manner desired. The shoulders must be at or past vertical toward the breast when the swimmer leaves the wall. It is important to watch a turn closely. The turn judge at the end of the pool should observe that the swimmer uses proper stroke into the wall. When the eyes shift from the full body to the two-hand touch, they should not shift back. It is important that the official focus on the actual touch, because many swimmers touch the wall very quickly with both hands, and then one hand will immediately leave the wall. In other words, both hands touch, but one hand just brushes the wall and then is off again. An official observing the turn too late may wrongly think the swimmer didn't touch with two hands and make an incorrect call. When the swimmer leaves the wall, the official should watch the feet leave the wall and then check to see that the proper body position has been attained. Remember, if you are not completely sure of what you observed, then the swimmer gets the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes, a swimmer will miscalculate their distance from the wall and make an underwater recovery to make up the distance. This is not legal because once a backwards pull has begun, it must be followed by an overwater recovery. All of these swimmers are in violation since backwards pulls are started but are not followed by an overwater recovery. We've gone over all the points for butterfly, so let's move on to the backstroke. Unlike the other strokes, when starting the backstroke race, the swimmer shall line up in the water. The position of the hands and the toes before the start are the responsibility of the starter. At some competitions, a judge may be assigned to observe the position of the feet. Standing in or on the gutter or curling the toes over the lip of the gutter is not permitted. After the start or turn, some swimmers may kick out on their side. This is legal as long as the swimmer remains past vertical toward the back for this portion of the race. They can stay submerged for not more than 15 meters. At that point, the head must break the surface of the water. The backstroke is basically as the name implies. The swimmers shall push off on their back and continue swimming on the back throughout the race. Some part of the swimmer must break the surface of the water throughout the race, except after the start and every turn, where the swimmer can be submerged for not more than 15 meters. This swimmer's chin breaks the surface at the 15-meter mark. This is a portion of the head, so this is legal. When observing the swim mechanics of the backstroke, the judges shall observe that the swimmer remains on the back. From the side of the pool, the stroke judge shall observe that the head breaks the surface of the water before or at the 15-meter mark. Some part of the swimmer must then break the surface of the water throughout the race. When turning at the end of each length, some part of the swimmer must touch the wall. During the turn, the shoulders may be turned past vertical toward the breast, after which a continuous single or double arm pull may be used to initiate the turn. Once the body has left the position on the back, the swimmer shall immediately initiate the turn. The swimmer must return to the position on the back or side past vertical toward the back upon leaving the wall. In plainer language, the swimmer can rotate to their breast and take a single or double arm pull and continue kicking as long as it is part of the execution of the turn. After a swimmer rotates past vertical toward the breast to turn, they may take one single or double arm pull into the turn. They may not take more, even if they find they are too far from the wall. This swimmer should be disqualified. Once the hand or hands complete the pull, then the swimmer must execute the turn. The head coming up can be legal as long as it is part of the execution of the turn. This swimmer is legal. The swimmer may kick while turning as long as that kick is part of the execution of the turn. The swimmer may not kick into the wall to make up distance before turning. This is an illegal turn. After turning past vertical toward the breast, the swimmer has to immediately initiate the turn. This swimmer is performing an illegal turn. As it can be a difficult turn to judge, let's look again at some legal and illegal backstroke turns. It is not legal for a swimmer to push off from the wall on the breast and then rotate to the back. This turn is legal as the swimmer immediately executed a turn. This turn is illegal because two single arm pulls are taken into the turn. This turn is illegal because the kicking is to make up distance to the wall and the swimmer did not immediately execute the turn. However, this swimmer's turn is legal because although there is kicking all the way through the turn, the swimmer immediately executed the turn. Like the previous swimmer, this swimmer is turning very slowly. As long as the arm is moving, the turn is being executed. This is a legal turn. Another form of a legal turn is when the swimmer touches the wall while on their back, then turns in any manner as long as they are at or past vertical toward the back when their feet leave the wall. It is legal when a swimmer begins to rotate past vertical toward the breast, but touches the wall with some part of their body before executing the turn. The swimmer may then turn in any manner as long as they are at or past vertical toward their back when the feet leave the wall. A swimmer may not scull back to the wall if they turn too early and miss touching the wall. The backstroke turn can be a difficult turn to judge. Remember, if you are unsure of the call, the swimmer always gets the benefit of the doubt. When observing the turn, the judge at the end of the pool should stand over the lane. Once the swimmer passes vertical toward the breast, you should observe that all actions of the swimmer are associated with the execution of the turn. Also observe that the swimmer is past vertical toward the back when leaving the wall. The official should watch the feet leave the wall and then check to see that the swimmer is past vertical toward the back. The key to judging the backstroke turn is to observe the whole body. The arm pull initiates the turn and must be followed by the execution of the turn. When finishing the backstroke race, the swimmer must touch the wall while on the back. The race is finished when any part of the body touches the wall at the end of the prescribed distance. When observing the swimmer at the finish, make sure they do not completely submerge prior to the touch. As you shift your focus to the touch, do not look back. The race is over. Now that we've gone over the backstroke, let's take a look at the breaststroke. The breaststroke probably has the most variations of technique of any of the strokes. In a single race, You might observe many distinct styles of swimming, and they might all be legal. However, there are some definite rules to the stroke, so let's take a look at those. From the beginning of the first arm stroke after the start, and after each turn, the body shall be on the breast. While still submerged after the start and after each turn, the swimmer may take one arm pull completely back to the legs. A single downward butterfly kick is permitted any time after the beginning of the first arm stroke and must be followed by a breaststroke kick. The head must break the surface of the water before the hands turn inward at the widest part of the second stroke. If the swimmer does more than one pull or downward butterfly kick or breaststroke kick, that is a stroke violation. These swimmers should be disqualified. During the pullout, the arms will move simultaneously and in the same horizontal plane without any alternating movement. The kick must happen after the beginning of the arm stroke. The turn judge at the start end of the pool should watch the swimmer during the pullout, looking for one arm stroke, one downward butterfly kick, and one breaststroke kick. The head must break the surface of the water by the widest part of the second pull. If the hands turn inward at the widest part of the second arm pull before the head breaks the surface, then it is a stroke violation. This swimmer should be disqualified. The turn judge should observe the swimmer during the pullout to make sure the head breaks the surface of the water before the hands turn inward at the widest part of the recovery of the second arm pull. When officiating breaststroke, watch the whole body, not just the pull or just the kick. From the beginning of the first stroke after the start and each turn, the body shall be kept on the breast. The arms shall move simultaneously and in the same horizontal plane without any alternating movement. The hands shall be pushed forward together from the breast, on, under, or over the water. The elbows shall be kept under the water except for the last stroke at each turn and the finish. The hands shall be brought back on or under the surface of the water. The hands shall not be brought beyond the hip line except during the first stroke after the start and each turn. Some part of the swimmer's head